When did you first notice Matt?
So, one of my first memories of Matt is when it was in our ward at Alta, and it was a fast and testimony meeting, and he got up and he shared his testimony about Christ and about his love for the Savior. And I just remember I just felt so impressed with his testimony, and I just felt the genuineness or the sincerity of his testimony, and I was just really impressed with that. So I went up to him after and I told him, hey, it's a great testimony.
I first noticed Lana when she asked me to dance. It was a young adult dance, and she came up and asked me to dance. I was pretty awestruck because she was a really cute girl who was pretty sociable, so I was pretty impressed. That's when I first noticed her.
If you heard his testimony, liked it so much, why didn't you ever get together?
I honestly don't know why we didn't start dating. I think a lot of it was just timing. It probably just wasn't the right time. He was on my radar, and I felt like I was pretty interested, but he never asked me. But he did send me a song, which was kind of cool. It's called What Lana Says, and he sent it to me, and I just felt like it really kind of encapsulated me and my personality, and so I thought that was kind of a cool thing. So I thought, oh, maybe he'll ask me on a date after that. Never asked me on a date.
Well, long story short, I had a roommate who was also interested in Lana, but he wasn't doing anything about it. And, I figured I'd give him space, but I was still interested enough in Lana that when I found a song called What Lana Says, I thought to myself, who else has the name Lana? So I sent that song to her, and she loved it. And looking back on it now, she really wanted to go on a date, but it was the end of the semester. I was going back to Maine. She probably would have written me off anyway because I would have been so far away.
What led you to the first date? How was it?
So we actually reconnected after I had moved up to Salt Lake. So I was totally out of Provo, and I went down to visit my old roommates to have a roommate night and have a sleepover there. And there was ward prayer, and one of my roommates was giving the thought, so we went out for ward prayer, and I saw Matt, and he had been on my radar, like I said, and he had sent me that song. And during the summer I had a thought, I really need to send him, or I really need to tell him how much I love that song. Random, but so I saw him at ward prayer, and so I decided to go up to him and tell him, hey, I really loved your song that you sent. And there was this flock of girls around him, and I just went up to him and was like, hey, I love that song.
And I was sitting there talking with some of my friends, and here came Lana, who I thought she was going to be back in that apartment complex again, but turns out she wasn't. But she came up to me and she said, thank you for that song. It was absolutely wonderful, and I'm wanting to tell you. And similar to that time when she asked me to dance, I was just awestruck again that she would have remembered something like that.
And we just talked and hit it off and just really connected. And so we decided to go on a date.
Well, anyway, I decided that I wanted to ask her out after we had talked for a little bit.
And so for our first date, we went up to the Saratoga Hot Springs.
Right from the get-go, she was a little bit late to the date. She met us at the at a house before we went to the hot springs because she was traveling up from visiting her family. And I was nervous, more nervous than I had been for a date in a long time. And she walked in, and the room just kind of lit up. And the people's faces that I was with, their faces lit up. And Lana just walked in, She talked to everybody. She said hi to me. She looked really cute. I still remember that. And it, like I said, it was the first time in a long time that I was nervous, but it was also the first time in a long time that I felt totally at ease at the beginning of the date and had a feeling that she really was somebody special I ought to pay attention to.
What'd you like about her?
There's so much that I liked about Matt that I still like about Matt. But some of my favorite things about Matt, I liked how goofy he was. He's kind of spunky and kind of goofy, not afraid to be himself. I noticed early on that he's a natural leader and he's not afraid to take the initiative or to lead the way. I also really like that he's a problem solver and that he's willing to come up with solutions and work hard to find those solutions.
Well, I like Lana's attitude. She likes to do what she wants, and she likes to make everybody join in as well. Not make them, but highly encourage them to hop in. And that's an exciting attitude to be around. There's not a dull moment with Lana, and I repeatedly saw it over and over when I introduced her to my friends, when I met her friends, when I introduced her to my family. Just over and over, she was this vibrant personality that just catches me by surprise all the time. And she still catches me by surprise, and I really do like that about her. She makes life exciting.
Tell us about the first time you said I love you.
So, the first time that Matt told me he loved me, it was in November, I think. And we had been going on dates like every weekend since our first date. And it was a really, things had been progressing pretty naturally. But I just remember that weekend, I felt like something had just changed. Just in the way we interacted, in the way that I felt about him. I knew that I loved him. And so I remember waking up Sunday morning, and I just audibly whispered to myself, I was just like, I love Matthew Crowley.
About a week before I really said I love you, I kind of mentioned it to Lana. I said, I feel like love is growing for you. I didn't want to be totally point blank with saying I love you. I really wanted to be honest and transparent with how I was feeling, and I said, I feel like love is growing, and I thought back on that night a couple days after and thought, why didn't I just say I love you? If that's how I really feel, I should have just said it. So I gave a little bit more time, and it was one night where I really felt like I needed to say it. And here, it had been a really tender moment for both Lana and I, a point where we discovered a little bit more about each other's personalities, and we were there together. It was right before I was going to leave to go back down to Provo after visiting her in Salt Lake, and we were hugging, and I said, Lana, I love you so much. I felt really genuine about that, and she responded by saying I love you too.
And then it was pretty magical because later that night is when he decided to tell me that he loved me. So I thought that was a sweet miracle or cool magic thing that we both happened to feel that on the same day.
Tell us about the time that you met each other's families.
So I first met his parents at a BYU football game, which I really liked him because I don't like football, and it was snowing. So obviously I thought something was gonna happen with this guy. Anyway, so we went to the football game and I met his parents, and I was just really struck by how down to earth and just what salt of the earth, good people they are. And so that was really fun. And then later, after Christmas, I was able to go up to Boise and and meet his whole family, as well as kind of spend some time with his extended family. And yeah, I really was just blown away at what a wonderful family he has, and the cool bond and unity and love that they share and have for each other. So yeah, it was really awesome.
So I met Lana's family about like a week and a half after getting to know her, like actually our first date. And the whole idea was for it to be chill and just fine, but you know the Litchfields, they might be chill, but they're not just fine. There's a lot of great action and conversations and jokes going on. And when we went down from Provo, it was about a 4-hour drive, and and we got talking about each other's lives. And then when I met Lana's family, it was just amazing to like see what environment she came from, and I really enjoyed observing and also hopping in when I could. As much as all these great characters were talking all the time, I never felt unincluded either, which I thought was really interesting. Never felt like I was run over, and that was kind of one of the first times I felt with Lana that I was a decent match, because I got along well with her family, and yeah, that was exciting to me. Then when she met my family, again, like I said, she wasn't a different person. She was a pure, genuine Lana that I've been coming to love, and she glowed like usual, and she really charmed my family, which I thought was awesome. Tell a funny memory you have about Matt.
A funny memory of Matt. One of my favorite funny memories of Matt is when we went out to go study on BYU campus, and we were in the JSFB, and it was like the atrium area, and it just so happened like no one was around, and so it was just us, and next thing you know, for a study break, Matt's turning on some cheesy like 70s 80s love songs, and he's like getting up and lip syncing and dancing to them, and I just remember thinking, what a goof, but I absolutely loved him, so I loved that.
One hilarious thing about Lana is that she does not like the cold at all, and it's just kind of a little quirk about her, but whenever it's remotely cold, even if there's a breeze, she exclaims and says, "It's so cold! Why do we live here? I want to move!" At first I was like, wow, she's genuinely cold and genuinely like hurting inside. But as I've gotten to know her, she very well may be cold, but she's just saying it because she wants to say it and let the world know. And I think it's so hilarious, and I love it. And it doesn't matter who she's with, she'll say it. That makes me laugh every time.
Anyway, so we went up to visit my grandma, and even though it was COVID-19, anyway, so we went up to visit my grandma, and like that day we were supposed to leave at like 3 or 4 or something, and he kept pushing back the time, but he said he had an assignment, so I was like, oh yeah, no big deal.
It was a couple days before we went on a trip to go visit her grandma, and I felt like I really needed to propose to her that weekend. And so I got some of my old roommates together, and we went and got a loaner ring that I could propose with in return when I actually came.
The next morning, we wake up and his plan, I guess he had woken up at like 3 a.m. and his plan was to go and propose at like 10 a.m., like go on a walk and propose.
Well, we went there, we visited her grandma, and her grandma was saying, "When you gonna marry this girl?"
Anyway, but I wake up and my grandma's like, "How about you guys go help like Uncle Dan on the ranch?" And I was like, "Great idea!"
I believe I successfully got Lana to not think I was up to anything.
So totally derailed Matt's plans, and that morning we went and we helped feed the cows over with Dan and Misha, and that was a really great, like, good morning. But I could tell he was kind of like jumbled or irked a little bit, and he was like, "Oh no, I'm just hangry." Anyway, so then we get back, and by the time we've showered and ate, the rest of my cousins had come, so it was pretty full. But after everyone left, we were able to go on a walk. He's like, "Hey, do you want to go for a walk?" So we went for a walk, and he had this package, and he gave it to me, and it was a book that we had read last semester together, The Hiding Place. And in it were just pictures of when we had dated from Christmas up until that point. And there was like funny messages written on the back, and it was just really cute and sweet. And then towards the end of the book, there was this redeemable coupon that I had created for him. Technically it was supposed to be $5 or less, but he cashed in his redeemable coupon by asking me to marry him. And it was so sweet, and it was really cool because it was up in Randolph at my grandma's house where I had first felt that I really wanted to marry him, and I knew that we'd be a really good match and couple.
But then afterwards, and after the whole day of waiting, I finally got a moment to take her on a walk, and we opened this book of memories. And she was totally touched, and it was really cool to see her reaction as we shared, reflecting on those memories. And then at the end, I asked her to marry me, and she was really excited, and I was grateful that I pulled off the surprise.
Okay, you can't be here for this. I don't know what I'm gonna say. Matthew Crowley, you just make me feel like the luckiest girl in the world, and every day I am blown away at how thoughtful and kind and how good you are at communicating. It really is so tender and so sweet, and I just really love you, and I'm excited for the life we're gonna have. I really think we're gonna be able to accomplish great things together, and I can't wait.
So Lana, I know you've been looking forward to this, and I have too. And I'm grateful that we've been able to face the challenge of COVID-19 together, that we've been able to prayerfully decide what we wanted to do with this. And even though it's a little unconventional, it's a little unique, I feel like it's a great match for us. And I am grateful for you. There wasn't a moment where I really came to just know that I loved you. It's been a building, and it continues to be a building of lots of simple moments and wonderful things that we do together. You're an outstanding girl. Frankly, you match every part of my dream girl, and you know that. And I am so excited and grateful that we are able to start our lives together. And I'm excited to see what our life can be. Even though it might be a little bit unique, a little bit out of the box. It's going to be great.